Yeah, I thought we'd take a look at this brake system that I'm going to put on the bottom. It looks like this. There's two of these, and they're going to ride on this piece that's stationary. Now this unit here is the part that rotates, and this is stationary. But since it's on the bottom side, it's hard to see when it's together, so we'll take a look at it now. I'm just working on this. This is the idea I had. You don't get to see the bottom of this very much. Usually you just see the top. But there's the little motor for the back. And this is the air that powers this brake for the top side. There's one on each side. We showed you that last time. So I want to show you what I got going here. Now when this piece rotates, actually I'm going to rotate this piece, but usually this is, like I said, stationary, and this is the part that rotates. But as this rotates, I got this track here, and that's where the belt rides. And the outside of this track is the clamping force for this brake. So when there's a fitting that's going to go in here, and when air is put into here, it's going to clamp. It's going to clamp onto this piece, and it's going to clamp onto this piece. This is that ridges on the side here, with the belt being in the middle. So when that rotates and you want to lock it, you apply the brake, and this clamps, keeps it from rotating. So I'm going to show you a breakdown of what this looks like with this unit here, which is the same as this one. There's going to be two of these on here. That's what these holes are for here, right here. This hole, that hole, this hole in the middle is where the shaft goes through. So, like I said, these holes are where it mounts. It's going to be two of them on here. One there and one there. So, whether this is horizontal or vertical or anywhere in between, these two brakes will be able to clamp onto that and lock it in place. So let's go ahead and take this apart and take a look at it. I'm going to move this unit. So what we got here is these plates. I just cut them on the bandsaw. And in fact, this one here went a little too far with the bandsaw right there and cut into it beyond what I wanted. Then I just hit them on the sander, and just rounded those corners, well, the radiuses, to match the contour of that. This is, like I said, a rough, I just wanted to see what it looked like. So anyway, what happens is when you apply the air pressure, it clamps down. And these holes here, there's 4 here and 4 on the other side. They're going to house these little rubber pieces we talked about before. Well, that fell on the floor, and I think it's gone. Oh, there it is. That's those little rubber pieces I used before on the indexer. And they're going to go in there. So this is just a plate from the shaft. Now originally I was going to put that shaft through there, and I was going to put some kind of clip on it or some kind of knob or something. I really wasn't quite sure. But then I thought, well, I'll just put a plate on it and attach it to this plate, attach it to the shaft so it moves with the shaft. So we'll take that off. So this shaft is just a 1/4 inch diameter stock I got at Ace Hardware. It was like $4 for, what was it, 3 foot. So what I did here, I drilled these holes, this rubber piece, it's like a 125 diameter. Then this side here is like 1/4 inch where this back of this dome is. And then usually I take a 3/16 and I countersink this so I have a thickness of this wall 90 thousandths. But I just took a cobalt drill 135 angle and just went in there, and so now that I have the thickness for that flat. .90 thousandths. So I just use a cobalt drill instead of a flat end mill because I had 16 of these to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times plus the other one. So it'll work. I mean, this is basically just a mock-up. So this hole is 1/4 inch for that. Now I probably could have not put that hole in there and just put a hole for the thread and just had it bolt on there. But I wasn't really sure on what I wanted. At first, like I said, I wanted some kind of knob or something on there. So, because I want this to float a little bit. So if the angle, if the angle is off, it'll float. And then when it clamps down tight, even though it might be off a little bit. But I just thought, well, I'll put this strap on there and we just go from there. So anyway, this is the other plate here that goes on the other side. Then I had to countersink these 2 inner ones because they ride on the inside, and you can't have the head of the the head of the bolt hitting that piece, so they had to be countersunk. So these two are identical. I made them in pairs. And then this piece here, this is the piston. And what I did was I threaded that 632, and I took this little screw and I cut the head off, and I got half of it into the piston and the other half in this thread. I put a thread in the shaft on both ends. And there's a hole here that goes through for the shaft. And then I got a little counter bore here for the O-ring. It's going to be O-ring that mounts in there. It's going to be O-ring that mounts on the piston. And I have an O-ring that goes in here too. Now this is a 1-inch 13 thread that I put in here. I was looking for the 1-inch 20 tap. We have one at work and I couldn't find it, so I used the 1-inch 13. So then I put a thread on this to match the thread in this piece of Delrin. So there's the seal. This is a piece of 1-inch OD by 3/4 inch ID tubing. So I didn't have to bore anything. I just took this tubing and I just cut it, threaded it, and I turned this diameter on the end. Now what that diameter on the end is for air to go through there. This piece here, I just cut it on the bandsaw. These two sides are parallel, so I could hold it in the vise. Then I just cut that on the bandsaw, put a 1/8 NPT in there. And then I put a good chamfer on the inside of this. And there's a little counter bore there. I don't know if you can see that. So here's a counter bore. I took away the first three threads on the top side of this piece so that the air, when it goes through here, it has a passageway to go up to the top, because the piston is down here at the bottom. So I put a good chamfer on there. I took away, like I said, 3 of the threads on the top and the thread on top of here, so the air goes in here and it goes around here and then into this bore, which is going to drive the piston down. So to seal this piece against here, I got an O-ring that goes here. Now that's a 1 3/16 OD or maybe it was inch and, well, it was inch and an eighth. Yeah, that's what it was, inch and an eighth on the OD, and I couldn't get a 1-inch ID, so I got a 15/16 ID O-ring that goes there. These are the O-rings. I got them at Ace Hardware. Now these are made for basically a sink, you know, sink parts. They're Danco, but the O-rings, they're standard. On the this one here, I got the 3/8 OD by 1/4 ID, which is the number 5 O-ring. And for this piece here, I got the I think it was this one. Well, it's that one. I got the 2 of each. I got a 3/4 by 9/16. That's for the piston. That's number 11. 3/4 by 9/16. That's the 3/8 by 1/4. 1 inch by 7/8. There it is, inch and an eighth by 15/16. That's this one here, which is going to go here. And then this other one I got, this 1 inch by 7/8. I was going to put it on this undercut in back of the thread to seal against the back of here. I'm not sure if I need it or not. I'll have to try it when I put air pressure on it. And this little one I said goes in here. That seals the 1/4 inch shaft. And that is going to seal against this plate. The back of this plate is going to ride on the back of here. And that's what seals that 1/4 inch O-ring. So there's a little piece on the bottom here, and what that does is the piston has a little groove in the bottom, and that's where the spring rides. So the spring rides on that. Then it goes against this plate in the bottom. That's just a plate to hold the spring, and there's a hole in it so that the air on the underside of the piston has a place to escape. So when air pressure is applied, pushes that piston down because it's coming in from the top, and then that's connected to the shaft. So the one side pulls in, the other side pulls in, and it clamps it. So that's just a little round plate. I had to make the OD on this bigger than this 1 inch because I wanted the head of these bolts, I didn't want them off the diameter. And I found a piece that was like 1 1/8 inches So I just faced it off and then parted off the back. Yeah, at first I was going to put a thread here and a thread here. Then I was going to put a cap on it. Then I'd have to do an internal thread. And I said, well, I really didn't want to do that. So I thought, well, I'll just put a little thread in here. Those are 440s. So I added a piece of stock. And I turned it on the end. I drilled the 4 holes. Put the hole in the middle. Turned it over. Drilled the 4 holes, put the hole in the middle, faced it off, and then took a parting tool, parted it off, and that's what I come up with. And I could have taken a piece of flat stock and drilled the 4 holes and drilled the hole in the middle, but then, you know, when you go to cut the outside of it, you got to be able to hold this thing down, so you would have had to make a fixture with these 4 holes to hold it down and then run around it. And I thought, well, the easiest thing to do is just part it off. So that's what I did. So like I said, that's a piece of 3/4 inch ID tubing. And I did find that tap later on, that 1 inch 20, which would have been a lot easier than doing this 1 inch 13. So this is kind of what it looks like. Got the shaft here. This is the O-ring that's going to go on the back of the pipe here. This is the piece of Delrin. I got the 3/8 O-ring here. Oh no, it's here. Here's the 3/8. This is the other one. This is that one that fits here. Then it just mounts, that plate just mounts on top of it. So it's pretty simple. So that's what I was thinking on that. Have to put some air into it, see how it works. Yeah, when this is together, I don't know if you can see it, but this passageway up near the top, where that air comes in that hole, goes around there and then drives that piston down. So it should work. I guess there's one way to find out. Alright, just wanted to show that to you.